Hello, dear friends. An avalanche of detailed information about the new quantum financial system, QFS, has appeared, and I have made a summary and a synthesis of it. The hottest part, believe, is that we are all going to be paid $3,330 into our bank account when the system changeover officially begins, but the QFS has been running in parallel for years. Opinion piece. Caves of hidden gold. To support the new system, Chinese elders control the gold. QFS is the brain of the planetary structure. The system has nothing to do with blockchain. The Fed and the Treasury are not integrated into the system. It was programmed to bypass the Federal Reserve. It has taken more than 8 years to get the job done. Banks will transform, but they will not disappear. No bank will be able to compete against the free QFS. Cryptocurrencies are used to transfer dirty money. Elon Musk invested in Bitcoin to capture other people's money. His internet system is not free, but a tracking system. A new awareness of the power of the human mind will be born. Let's start. The Chinese elders have caves of hidden gold, according to Ron Giles, and are now using it back with gold the currencies in the QFS for all countries in the world. It's important to understand that the new system and the money they are about to release is new currency. It was designed by the coalition to fund a new financial system that will restore all the world's currencies to gold-backed currency. The government leaders of the 209 countries of the world signed this agreement to allow the G0 plan and this new quantum financial system to be implemented worldwide. The Chinese elders have been accumulating gold for hundreds of years. They are rich in gold. Some of their gold was loaned to the central banking system so they could finance the reconstruction of Europe after many war-torn years since World War I and World War II. By the way, they never paid it back, but used it to start their financial empire in order to enslave mankind. This is the central banking system. Perhaps that is why one of the conditions for using your gold for the QFS is the demise and full disclosure of the central banking system before currency realignment can take place. But there is a need to maintain the old banking system for the whole society, so it's not going to be completely eliminated within the new quantum financial system. The financial system is the glue that holds society together as we conduct our trade with each other. It's essential. As long as money is used to exchange goods and services, it is a service that must continue in some form. It is essential to position ourselves to perform this service. It's not about destroying a system, but transforming it. A digital electronic gold certificate would be the vehicle used to back the currency. Each kilo of gold stored by the Chinese elders has an identification serial number. That means that each kilo is identified and can be used to back a certain amount of money. Each coin increase would receive a digital gold certificate. This certificate refers to the specific kilo of gold volume that has been set aside and identified to back that specific increment of currency. The gold certification process is valid for all coins, regardless of the country of origin. There will be a digital tag to indicate the name of the currency to which the certificate pertains. If you want to transfer, say $100, the QFS will transfer 100 digital certificates. The value of the certificate is always an extension of the kilo of gold volume to which it is assigned. This avoids transporting gold with us. Disclaimer. According to Raphael, the QFS system has nothing to do with blockchain technology. As you eavesdrop explain between providers, it would be like comparing apples and oranges. Cryptocurrencies are owned by the swamp, and since they no longer have access to banks and transfer dirty money around the world, they now need a form of digital payment they can use to transfer money and pay each other. They decide the value and control everything, so you can game the old system and make as much money as you can, but be aware that they can block it all at will, and you can lose it all. The wise thing to do is not to put all your eggs in one basket, but diversify your investments to reduce risk. The Federal Reserve Bank is not integrated into the QFS system, nor is the Treasury Department. They are owned by the swamp, and Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin, its only interest is to protect the Federal Reserve Bank and make sure they can collect their tax and interest-free money. Elon Musk invested $1.5 billion in Bitcoin to give us the impression that Bitcoin is the way of the future, but all they are currently looking for is for us to invest our money in their fiat system. Elon Musk and the free internet he is offering to the world is not as free as it seems, but a GPS tracking system, so we can all register and be under his control. Starlink is not to help humankind, but to maintain total control of humankind. And if you pay attention, SpaceX is directly interconnected with Planet X, which many of you already know as an Anunnaki project. Tesla names Musk Techno King. Tesla Inc. on Monday added Techno King to the list of official titles of its billionaire chief executive, Elon Musk, in a formal regulatory filing in which it also called its chief financial officer, Zachary Kirkham, Master of Coin. The price of gold. The price of gold fluctuates, so at a specific snapshot in time, the price of gold will be frozen to back all currencies when QFS is in place. If the price of gold goes up or down, it will not affect the frozen value of one coin versus another, because the value of all coins will go up or down at the same time. When this freeze takes place, each kilo of value will be assigned a set of currency increases that will back it up. The snapshot in time will effectively freeze the value of all currencies as long as the QFS is 100% applied worldwide. The bottom line is that it will always be the same and will not fluctuate the value of each currency compared to another currency, but will stabilize. This is very important for international trade. This form of gold-backed currency eliminates the concept of the gold standard, which is a step in the right direction, but will yield to the far superior and more secure form involved with gold-backed currency in the QFS. The thousands of years of hoarding gold is an intrinsic exchange value will simply disappear and will become a commodity to be used for consumption in things like jewelry or gold plating, technology, etc. With the new system of real money backed by gold that cannot be manipulated, we will have a stabilized financial system that works for all of humankind internationally. Be very careful if you hold gold as a hedge against inflation, because without the gold element as money, the demand for gold will go down and the market price of gold will go back to being a supply and demand factor. A very large group of gold investors will find over time that the high price of gold will be very difficult to sustain as the price of gold continually erodes and their savings decline in value. They will find that the commodity needs to be sold so that their funds can be put to work in other more productive areas of the economy. Without accumulation and holding gold as an hedge against inflation, a major factor in the price of gold will have been eliminated. The artificial demand for gold as money will fall, and so will the market price. This is the net result of the QFS and the way currencies will be backed by gold. Gold will go back to being a commodity and will not be used as money as long as gold keeps the system in place. It is conceivable that the price of gold will fall to where it will cover the cost of extraction and distribution with small profit built in. Cuts. One of the major issues is the transition will be the use of debit cards for commercial purchases. Will Visa or MasterCard be available? We will see that the coalition comes up with, but there will be a lot of work to do to change the Visa or MasterCard structure to work with a QFS debit card, but it will be done eventually. Merchant fees will be eliminated for Visa and MasterCard or any other card, so changes will occur. A major cost to credit card companies is stolen cards and fraud. The QFS eliminates all of these fraudulent activities, including identity theft. Its security systems will ensure our financial security whenever we use money to exchange goods and services. A bank's computers cannot be programmed to transfer digital gold certificates. The QFS will transfer funds to a bank account as explained above, so that a person can transfer funds to their own bank account, but the convenience will become less and less as banks go bankrupt and their customers' deposits are confiscated to prevent the bank's demise. What bank can compete with the QFS when the system is free, secure, private and stable, so that no one loses their money in the bank? There is the Deposit Guarantee Fund. Consumers will always need loans for cars, home, etc. And they may need help learning how to use the QFS for their own personal financial needs. All of this can be supplied by converting the banking structure into financial service centers, a place where their question can be answered. With the customer's permission, tellers will have access to their account in the QFS and can help them obtain cash, etc., as well as deposit checks from their paychecks into the QFS. The QFS is our tool to do the job we came here to do. Our job will be put us in a position to serve in many capacities we may not have thought of before. The Spirit will help us ask for and receive our divine guidance as we use our funds in service to our brothers and sisters in the family of God. We are here to change the way the world works, not just to help the poor. System details. The QFS system doesn't have to be activated. It runs the planet. It is the brain of the planet, a mapping system of all the physical systems within the planet. This technology was brought to the planet through the Abraxas family that used to rule the planet, but it is now gone. The QFS, or Quantum Financial System, is an artificial intelligence, and this can be programmed for light or dark. In other words, love or fear. The previous programmer has left the planet, and the new programmer is a woman, a 100% flesh and blood human being. In terms of hierarchy, the QFS is the head of a planetary structure. It is to say, the brain and the Federal Reserve was the neck of the system. The Fed designed the infrastructure for the rest of the banks around the world. They ran all the servers, wires and firewalls on all 7 continents and at all levels of banking, tier 1, 2, 3, 4, A and B. It didn't matter the bank or the country. The QFS system was programmed and rewired in the cloud to bypass the Federal Reserve Bank. The Director of Ground Command, the new person in charge of the QFS system, had to rewire and reprogram everything to bypass the Federal Reserve Bank and go around their infrastructure. He's currently working on a small bug that prevents a transfer to us of $3,330. When you see this deposit in your bank account, it's game over for the swamp. Finally, we will all be free to get money to people, but I have a hard time believing this will come to fruition. It has taken more than 8 years to do such a huge amount of work. Everyone had their hands in the cookie jar, including IBM, Microsoft, Oracle systems. All are engaged among other key players, such as the military-industrial complex of many private contractors. Future banks. All banks, all banks will become service centers. SIPs and SWIFT systems will not disappear altogether. They will not be replaced, but will remain exactly as they are now. A database system. That's why all the banks in the world are eliminating all the teller lines, and only a few desk people are left to help with the paperwork. Banks can no longer close your account or freeze your money or stop the transfer of funds because they are instantaneous all over the world. Soon they will introduce robots in all their banks because robots don't pay taxes or profits, and the rest will be automated. You will have a direct relationship with the QFS system throughout your bank accounts. Banks will no longer be able to interfere in the process of obtaining money, as they no longer have access to you or the money. In any country in the world within the 7 continents, no matter the levels of banking, because there are many levels. Every country in the world has the opportunity now, for the first time in the history of the planet, to continue using their own click fiat currency, or they will be able to design, create and print a new currency. Everything will be based on their resources on the ground, which include everything: gold, silver, diamonds, and any tangible commodities such as rice, sugar, and precious metals, etc. It is recommended that each country design and create their own new currency, as well as their own printing press, as all printing presses around the world have been compromised and basically all are owned by the clique. Security. You can't hack the QFS because there is no technology like this on the planet. All the other quantum systems you hear about between vendors are local systems for each country, man-made. But that type of systems, it doesn't have the capability to run the whole planet, like the QFS we are talking about. Through the Director of Earth Command, a mapping system that is alive, it runs through the power source wireless, it is alive, it reads DNA, it reads intent, and it knows everything on the planet right now. It is alien technology. It has been here for thousands and thousands of years running the planet. The only difference now is that it is programmed to help us bypass the Federal Reserve. The new programmer cut out the middleman and went straight to the banks and us, so there will be no more interference. Anyone who tries to hack the QFS is considered a virus and will automatically protect themselves by countering the attack. The oppressor will only last a few minutes before the QFS destroys their system, or his system, or the hacker or intruder. The system knows how to defend itself. Awaiting announcement. Coalition sources claim that there is no longer a need for the NISARA law in the US. At last month, Trump signed the revised Paris Agreement, in which the NISARA plan was secretly embedded. Therefore, both projects have merged into one. The IMF White Hats will announce the global gold standard monetary system once the project is announced at the United Nations. All remaining fiat currencies will be exchanged for gold standard currency. The Alliance goal is to make the transition event simple, smooth and quick. The new financial system has been online for months and is hosted on a protected quantum server that cannot be hacked or accessed without permission. In particular, the wealth proliferation aspect is actually very stabilizing. People who have found wealth at the extremes are much more likely to feel able to help their family members, close friends, and fellow citizens. They are more likely to participate in humanitarian efforts. This is wealth creation based on solidarity. The readjustment of foreign exchange could lead to a shortage of skilled workers, but this then leads to higher wages and salaries. That will be reflected in prices, but this is offset by a drop in taxes of, in some cases, up to 80% of the cost price of the final product. This would result in deflation. As prices fall, savings for the worker and his family increase. This generates wealth. Energy costs are now also an important component of the cost mechanism of any product. Energy costs will also fall as a result of energy and new technologies. The future will be amazing and our lives will evolve tremendously. New technologies. The swamp is on the ropes, and some of the new suppressed technologies being launched date back 70 years or more. The suppressed technology is new to us, but it is actually very old. Some go back millions of years. For example, purified waters from Antarctica will be used to green deserts and restore mineral life to all plants and living things. The application of replicators that can produce everything, and surely, most importantly, a new awareness of the power of our mind to display our needs. And soon, real medical care will also be available to make people healthy instead of sick, to regrow limbs or organs, or to reduce our age by 30 years. The biggest short-term effect will be that currency realignment will create a large increase in consumers over time. Corporations that responsibly produce things that people need will see a large increase in business and profits. for many years to come. This produces wealth, because a huge aspect of Gisera is the elimination of the national debt of every nation on earth. Taxes will be adjusted to the lower for citizens and corporations. In the future, we will join the Galactic Federation of Light and then live among other off-world races, trade with them and travel to other planets inhabited with human life, with the secret space program, which the secret space program has already been doing for decades. Short news. Political earthquake in Spain with unforeseeable consequences for the elections in Madrid. Madrid will vote on May 4th in elections that will be held in a national key. The latest surprise comes with the decision of Pablo Iglesias to leave his position as vice president of the government to dispute the elections with Ayuso, in what seems to be a last attempt of the left to add votes in a key and long-lost community. Spain paralyzes AstraZeneca. The Spanish Ministry of Health has decided this Monday to paralyze the inoculation for 15 days with the drug of AstraZeneca and Oxford, while waiting for the European Medicines Agency to conclude its report on the blood clots that have been detected in about 30 people who have been administered this drug. Spain thus follows the same line as other European countries, which announced the suspension on Monday. The Spanish government is running out of mathematics teachers. Spain is running out of mathematics teachers for primary, secondary and high school because the few graduates in mathematics who leave university each year opt for the private sector, which is better paid and better recognized. 4 months in prison for Janine Áñez, the 9th judge of criminal instruction of La Paz, Regina Santa Cruz, ordered 4 months of preventive detention for the former interim president of Bolivia, Janine Áñez. The prosecutor's office had requested 6 months. Asymmetric US-Mexico relationship focused on migration and border security. The new agenda of Mexico's relationship with the US has begun to become clearer with Mexico's proposal for development funding in Central America to cap migration and the US defense of its investments in the country. Flights cancelled in China due to massive sandstorm. China's capital and much of northern China were caught in the worst sandstorm in a decade on Monday, forcing the cancellation of hundreds of flights on Monday. Skyscrapers in downtown Beijing seemed to have disappeared from sight amid the dust and sand. Traffic was severely affected and more than 400 flights due to depart from the capital's 2 main airports were cancelled before dawn amid low visibility and strong winds. China criticizes US after designating several technology companies as national security threat. Beijing has reacted to Washington's decision to designate 5 Chinese companies as a national security threat. The foreign ministry of the Asian country has branded the decision as hypocritical and points out that it is that country that spies even on its own allies. The remains of the world's oldest Christian monastery found. A Franco-Norwegian archaeological team has discovered new Christian ruins in Egypt's western desert, revealing monastic life in the region in the 4th century after Christ, the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities said. Neuropsychiatrist claims that people on the verge of death receive visits from beyond. They can fly through walls or cycle planets, become pure light, or meet deceased loved ones. Many have happy experiences of universal love. Most do not want to live again. When they do, they are sometimes endowed with special abilities. They can predict the future or intuit people's thoughts. Many end up unhappy and divorced, rejected by loved ones or friends, burdened with knowledge they dare not share. They are the so-called death travelers. It may sound like science fiction, but it is not. And that is all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends, and be happy.